Chapter 5. Joan drove slowly up her long driveway, gravel crunching under her tires, a few early red and orange leaves drifting down onto her windshield, and braced herself for Veronica's presence. They had done a lot of texting, emailing, and even video chatting about the curse throughout the years, but she hadn't actually seen her since high school. Veronica had moved to Los Angeles immediately after graduation, studying yoga and other hippy-dippy subjects, and eventually gaining status as a guru to the stars. It's so much harder to avoid someone in person. You can't just tell them that you have to go and then log off and hang up. To say nothing of the added potential for punching them in the face if they call you sweetie one more time. New agey, she muttered. I don't deal well with new agey. Joan parked her red Kia behind a blue SUV and turned off the engine. A dream catcher hung from the rearview mirror, and a bumper sticker read, "Meditation is for lovers." A luggage rack on the roof held 6 yoga mats arranged in a pyramid. As she gathered her belongings and her patience, she gazed forlornly at the house, usually a bastion of peace and solitude. It still looked so tranquil from the outside. She'd take a moment to enjoy it. She savored the quiet as long as she could justify doing so, and then exited the car and strode to her front door. She turned the key, twisted the knob, and opened the door just a crack, listening for any suspicious chanting or flute playing or whatever other nonsense these New Agers got up to. Instead, she heard a dog barking. She frowned and pushed the door all the way open. She stepped into her entryway and closed the door behind her, kicking off her black flats. "Hello?" The door to the spare room opened, and a giant fluffy white dog bounded through it, followed by a slim, busty woman wearing baby blue high-waisted yoga pants and a clinging yellow, midriff-bearing half-shirt. What the hell? Joan shoved the dog away as it rushed her legs. The animal began to run back and forth between Joan and Veronica, barking excitedly, nails clicking on the hardwood floor. Veronica glided toward Joan, navigating dog-infested waters with ease. A broad smile spread across her perfectly symmetrical face. Her long auburn hair was pulled back in a loose ponytail, and her feet were bare, her toenails painted the same sunny shade as her top. She spread her arms for a hug. "Sweetie, it's been too long." "Don't call me that." Joan put up one hand to ward off her guest, keeping the other low in case the dog attempted another breach. "Sorry, I'm really not a hugger. And who is this great white beast here?" "Oh, I'm sorry. Would a handshake be all right?" "What? Sure, fine." She swung her arms, moving her right hand up into shaking position and thrusting the left back down to push back the fluff monster. Veronica's handshake was pleasantly firm, and her fingernails matched her blue yoga pants. "It's wonderful to be here, sweetie. You have a beautiful home. Such a welcoming environment, and the grounds are just gorgeous." "Thanks. You didn't say you'd be bringing a dog." "Didn't I? Well, I don't go anywhere without Willow." She knelt to address the dog head-on, giving her neck a vigorous scratch on either side. "Isn't that right, you big fluffy girl?" Joan recoiled in horror as she watched Willow lick Veronica's entire face in one circular sweep of her tongue. Veronica laughed and stood back up. "I do hope it won't be too inconvenient for you." "Well, I don't think my cat will be very happy." "Oh, you have a kitty. Willow adores cats. I'm sure they'll get along wonderfully." "Yeah, I'm sure." Joan glanced around, but Friday was nowhere to be seen. Anyway, I've had kind of a long day, and I'm sure you must be hungry and tired after your drive. What do you say to ordering some Chinese food?" Veronica frowned. "Oh, I'm sorry, but that will be unacceptable. I'm very strict about what I put into my body." "Sure. How about pizza? Or burritos?" Veronica gently grasped Joan's arm and leaned her forehead against hers. Joan found herself looking cross-eyed at Veronica's slender nose. "I hope I don't offend, but I'm afraid there won't be any ready-made food available in this rather provincial town that will suffice." Joan leaned back and shook her arms free of Veronica's grip. "What do you propose?" "I did take the liberty of stopping at the grocery store on my way in, and your kitchen is now stocked with wonderfully nutritious fare. Why don't I just whip something up for us, sweetie?" "Don't call me that." "Fine. As long as I don't have to cook, I'm not picky." "Wonderful!" Veronica skipped off to the kitchen, Willow at her heels. Joan stared after them. "You grew up in this provincial town same as me," she muttered. She pulled her phone out of her purse and texted Sadie. "She doesn't eat burritos. She brought a gigantic dog, and my forehead is no longer a virgin." Joan headed down the hall to her own bedroom, calling out softly, "Friday? Here, Friday. Where are you, Friday?" A soft meow came from behind the ajar door of the hall linen closet. She pushed it open, and the calico jumped into her arms from her nest of towels. "Oh, I know, kitty. This is the worst, huh? It's gonna be okay. Let's go in here. She carried Friday into her bedroom and shut the door. She set the frustrated feline on the bed and opened the window just wide enough for the cat to come and go, shivering a little as a brisk breeze swept in. See? We'll just keep this open and you won't have to go into the rest of the house at all. Isn't that nice? Friday butted Joan with her head and she smiled and scratched her ears. Okay, I gotta get changed because if I have to wear this damn skirt for another second, I'm gonna kill someone. Joan pulled her purse over her head and slipped off the offending pencil skirt and emerald green blouse, exchanging them for a comfortable pair of jeans and a vintage soft burnt orange tee emblazoned with a cartoon atom. She went into her bathroom to wipe off her makeup and vigorously brush out the ridiculous curls that the stylist at work always insisted on putting in her hair, cursing each time the brush tugged at her scalp. Feeling like herself once more, Joan strode back into the bedroom and checked her phone. Good. Sadie was on her way. She looked at the time. Brandon wouldn't be here for another hour or so. She stuck the phone in her back pocket, gave Friday a few more minutes of love, and straightened her shoulders, heading back to the now fragrant kitchen, arriving to find Veronica emptying a can of lumpy coconut milk into a sauté pan full of colorful veggies. Willow rushed to reach Joan, and she stuck out a foot to keep her away, hopping into the room and leaning against the doorframe, legs still extended. Veronica looked up, setting down the can, and picking up a slotted wooden spoon to stir. Oh, you look much more comfortable now, sweetie. Do you feel better? Don't call me that. Yes, I feel much better, thank you. Wonderful. Do you have any ground turmeric? Any what? Turmeric. The spice? I think I have some taco seasoning. Veronica winced. Never mind. Joan narrowed her eyes and hopped forward, pushing Willow before her. Listen, you judgy little... Veronica interrupted. No matter. I'll pick some up tomorrow. Tell me what you've discovered about this key. Attention diverted. Joan leaned her butt against the round four-person kitchen table and explained about the jolt, the experiment she'd run on Brandon, again omitting the ultimate outcome, and Brandon's theories about the connection to witchcraft. Wow, breathed Veronica. Is it really just like that day? Joan shivered. Exactly. It's unreal. We'll run the test on you after dinner and everyone else as they arrive. I'm sure Derek will have some thoughts on how to improve the test and maybe the equipment to measure brain waves and other vitals too. The only equipment I have just measures electrical impulses, which is helpful, but doesn't paint a complete picture. Veronica waved a blue-tipped hand. I don't know about all this science stuff. I'm really more of a mystic. That's actually fantastic because I'm clueless about that side of it. We're lucky to have such a broad range of experts. I know Brandon will want to talk to you about how the energy source you use in your healing work compares to that generated during Wiccan spellcasting. He's also going to try to get a Wiccan friend of his to come and talk to us about how spells work. Sadie skipped into the kitchen, followed by her 11-year-old twins, Becca and Marlin, who gasped with delight and ran straight to the dog. Ooh, spells! That sounds like fun. Joan lowered her foot as Willow turned to her attention to the much more attentive humans. Mrs. Connor says witches are taking over the country, driving out God-fearing Christians, said Becca, looking up from vigorously petting Willow. She says they dance around naked and stuff. Marlin's eyes widened. Really? No, Marlin, they don't do that, and even if they did, they wouldn't do it in front of you, Sadie laughed, shedding her coat and hanging it on the back of a slatted chair. Becca, I'm going to get you a pentagram necklace to wear next time you visit Mrs. Connor. That ought to shut her up. Why don't you guys take the puppy outside and play for a bit? Okay. The children happily pushed Willow out the back door. Who the hell is Mrs. Connor? Joan asked, lips twitching. Sadie bounced over to the fridge and opened it up, grabbing a bottle of white wine. This nosy neighbor who thinks I'm raising my kids to be heathens. I mean, she's not wrong, but I don't see why it's any of her business. Nice to see you, Veronica. It's wonderful to see you too, sweetie. Veronica hesitated, arms outstretched. Are you a hugger? Bring it in. Sadie set the bottle on the counter and embraced Veronica as Joan rolled her eyes and walked over to the stove to poke at the contents of the pan. It smelled divine, redolent of ginger and black pepper. There was another pan on the back burner, and she peeked in, lifting the lid an inch to reveal brown rice. She wrinkled her nose. Veronica approached. Shall we dish up? It should be ready. Sadie, will your wonderful children be joining us? No, we stopped for burritos on the way. I will have some, though. Joan cleared her throat to cover a snicker, then pulled down 3 bowls from a cupboard. She claimed a smallish share of the suspiciously healthy food, scooping in as little of the brown rice as possible without giving offense, and then heaping on the veggies. Sadie danced around the kitchen, busily opening wine. She was one of the 12 people in the world who could use the bewinged corkscrew properly. Pouring 2 glasses. None for me, sweetie, said Veronica. It's sheer poison for body and mind. And setting utensils and mismatched cloth napkins on the table. Joan sat down and tentatively ate a slice of carrot, the complexity of the sauce rolling over her tongue, creamy, slightly spicy, and full of flavor. She eagerly speared some sweet potato and onion on her fork. "Veronica, this is amazing." "Thank you, it's my own recipe." Veronica sat down across from her, Sadie plopping into the chair between them. Joan took a third bite, braving the rice this time, which actually meshed well with the veggies, its nuttiness complementing the spices. Then she glanced at Veronica. She wasn't eating, just fidgeting with her fork and staring into her bowl. Joan narrowed her eyes and looked from the chef to the food. "Why aren't you eating it? What's going on?" Veronica bit her lip and dropped her fork, nervously pulling at her ponytail. "I have to tell you guys something. I should have said it before. It's been going on for a couple of weeks now." Joan set her fork down and picked up her wine glass, sipping the bright, citrusy Pinot Gris. Sadie kept eating, but cocked her head to the side, her eyes fixed on Veronica's face. Veronica took a deep breath and let it out slowly, gazing down at her bowl as though it were a crystal ball with all the answers. She picked up a piece of carrot and then dropped it again, wiping her fingers on her blue and green plaid napkin. Finally she spoke, her voice low. "I have been getting symptoms again. Curse symptoms. Here and there.